Hello and welcome to Mythmakers. Mythmakers is the podcast for fantasy fans and fantasy creatives, brought to you by the Oxford Centre for Fantasy. My name is Julia Golding. I spend half my time as an author and the other half running the centre. And today we're taking an expedition into the world of animation because we have with us as a guest Butch Hartman. Now, Butch, I'm sure the people listening to this will have at some point seen one of your cartoons. So perhaps you'd like to tell us a bit about your background as a creative and your journey into animation.
Well, Julia, I love your accent so much. I'll do whatever you tell me. So,
okay.
What would you like? What would you like to know first? Where shall I start?
So, let me guess. Did it start as little Butch at school, doodling away in the margins of his books when he was told to get his maths?
You must have been hovering over my shoulder. Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think with a lot of artists and a lot of kids, people who grow into adulthood doing art, it absolutely starts when you're a kid. And I started doing it when I was a youth. When I remember one of my most vivid memories, I was in kindergarten and our teacher told us to draw a picture of her, draw a picture of me. So all the kids are drawing a picture of the teacher. And I thought nothing of it. I just drew it. And my teacher started raving about it. I'll never forget this. And she starts raving about it and kind of got my attention. And there are pictures. And she actually went out in the hallway and showed the other teachers that she loved the picture so much. And I realized my little tiny mind at that point, I realized I could get attention from adults at that point. And so I thought, well, if I could just keep drawing, I could get attention. So I actually kept drawing because I liked it. And then I loved cartoons. Here in America, we had Saturday morning cartoons. So I'd watch cartoons all the time and I would try and draw them. There was no way to freeze the television image at that time either. You couldn't stop or pause. So I would draw as fast as I would draw Fred Flintstone and Scooby-Doo as fast as I could. Learned how to basically practice off television. All my other friends are outside playing baseball or playing sports, but I never had any interest in that. I just wanted to be inside drawing all the time.
So were you also reading comics at the same time as watching the cartoons on TV?
Oh, yes. I love comic books. I'm a huge comic book fan. I have a bunch of comic book drawings behind me here that I've done on my own, but I'm a very huge fan of characters like Spider-Man and Superman and Batman and those kind of characters. And I loved a lot about those. It wasn't just the drawing, although I would always criticize the artists, as a little kid, but I love the storytelling. And that's what I really fell in love with. And I think every artist should know that no matter what you do as an artist, you're always telling a story. Whether you're writing a story or painting a picture, there's always a great story to be told. And people love stories. All of us do. Right now, you and I are telling a story. So people love it. And if you could tell it well, you'll really, I think, be very successful.
Okay, so let's tell the story of that little boy in the classroom. So he leaves the classroom. What happens next for him?
Normally, I got beat up by the other kids. But then after the beating, I would go, no, I'm kidding. I would... No, I grew up in Michigan, here in the States, and I loved art. But I wanted to get on television. I wanted to be in the TV world with all my heroes that I love so much. But I didn't know how to get on television. It's all very untouchable when you're a child and when you're in Michigan, especially. How do I get in there? I found out about a college in California called California Institute of the Arts, or CalArts for short. It was founded by Walt Disney back in the 70s. And they actually had a character animation class at that school. So I got to be 18 years old, didn't know where I wanted to go to college. And one of my friends was actually going to that college, said, why don't you come to this college? And I looked into it. He had to submit a portfolio of art to get into this school. It's a very high-level school of art. And so I had to get what they call a realistic portfolio. I had to show my realistic drawings, like human figures and animal figures and things. So I'd go to the Detroit Zoo in the dead of winter because you could get in for free. I'd go into the Detroit. I'd be like the only one in the zoo, and I would draw the tigers and the pandas. Or not pandas. I'd draw whatever animals were in the zoo. I would draw them, and ended up coming up with a portfolio that got me in. I got into the school, and in 1983, I went to college in California. But the best part about that was I got into an atmosphere of people who were doing exactly what I love to do.
Yeah.
And there were other animators, other writers, other actors. There were all kinds of artists there. And I always tell people, if you want to get into your chosen profession, start hanging out with people that do what you want to do. Do what you love. Because if you want to be a baseball player, you don't hang out with hockey players. You hang out with other baseball players. You hang out with people that do what you like. If you want to be a musician, you hang out with musicians. I wanted to be an animator. So, and my dream was to work for Disney, and I've never worked for Disney. That's the only place I've never worked. But I worked everywhere else. But I ended up learning the craft of animation and drawing and art and all that type of stuff. And the main thing about that school, though, it had connections in the industry.
Yeah.
It had people that were in the industry coming and going, and you could always meet them and talk with them and sort of get in your head, how do I do this? So if you want to learn how to get into any industry, again, get connections in that industry.
Yeah, hang out with the people who are hopefully going into it as well. Yeah, makes it
if
possible.
you can.
Yeah. So, okay, you do make that transfer into the industry, and perhaps we should talk about some of your major products. The one that I know best, because my kids watched it, is the Fairy Odd Parents.
Fairly Odd Parents, yes.
Yeah.
There's Timmy Turner right there.
Did that come fairly late on? Had you started working on others? What was the running order of how
that's a great question. The way it worked for me was I was in the animation industry. I got in the animation. I was in school in 1983. In 1986, I left school and got into the animation industry. I got in as a character designer, which is basically like if you're going to cast a movie, what sort of I think my picture is frozen there.
No, I'm still here.
Okay. But if you want to, let's say you want to cast a movie or an actor, what you want to do is you want to have auditions and you want to get different people to come in. But as a character designer, that's what you do is you have people, you draw different characters. You draw, if there's a bulldog or a cat or whatever, I'll draw several different versions and that'll be the one the producer chooses to be in the show. Is this cat lazy? Is he energetic or whatever? So I got in as a character designer, and then I learned how to do that. I learned how to do backgrounds, which is set designing, basically. I learned how to do writing. And so by the time the Fairly Odd Parents rolled around, I knew how to do everything. And that's really what I benefited a lot from about 15 years in the industry. And then I sold my first show, which was the Fairly Odd Parents.
Yeah. That's absolutely brilliant, and it shows it's not instant success. You have to do your time learning the tricks of the trade. So if people are wanting to get in animation, it's much better to have a realistic expectation. You got to do the graft.
Well, there's a price to pay, and with everything, and that's not a bad price to pay. The price you pay benefits you. It's like going to the gym. Everybody wants an amazing physique, but you can't get it unless you put the work in. You can't eat donuts all day long and think you're going to look amazing. You have to go in and do the work. You got to set a certain lifestyle as well. I had to really realize that, I can't just go to work. I've got to get up early. I've got to be ready. I've got to be creative because my job, every animator's job, every writer, artist, whoever, their job starts with a blank piece of paper. Yeah. And I have to fill this piece of paper with something that someone's going to pay me for at the end of the day. And that really is what the challenge is. And people don't realize that. And people go, well, I just want to, draw pictures and sit at my desk. Well, you can do that. You can totally do that. If you're good at that, great. But I encourage people to get more out of themselves. You're not just an artist. You're a storyteller. You're a producer. You could come up with your own show as well. A lot of people want to be like someone who sells a show, like you said. I want to sell my own show, but they don't know what goes into it. There's so much more that goes into it than just drawing funny pictures.
Yeah. So obviously, animation, by nature of the freedom you have to draw anything you can imagine, fits really well with stories which have a real core of fantasy, magic, dragons, unbelievable creatures, that stuff. Was there any ones that you felt as growing up were inspiration on the style that you adopted? Because obviously there's lots that you enjoyed, but was there one where you thought, yeah, that's the kind of direction I'm going in?
Oh, well, I was very influenced by Saturday morning television. I really had huge respect and admiration and love for Disney films, animated films. I loved lots of comedy, lots of sitcoms and things like that, comic books. But my drawing style was really influenced by Saturday morning Hanna-Barbera, like the Flintstones, Scooby-Doo, the Jetsons, Johnny Quest. There was a bunch of great Hanna-Barbera, the Super Friends, shows that I grew up watching. Really got influenced by that. And I ended up going into the television animation industry because, to me, the movie industry, to work at Disney, you had to work on movies. Back at that time, you had to work on movies. And if you worked on a movie, it was like a 4-year gig. You'd work on a movie. It'd be the same story for 4 years. You would do maybe 3 or 4 scenes in the movie, 5 scenes, whatever, 6 scenes, and you do that movie. I am a much more hyperactive person. I wanted to tell more than one story. So working in television, I got to tell one story every week. I could do a different story every week, maybe every 2 weeks, and that to me was a lot more fun.
Presumably, it's a collaborative process once you get into making a series, that it's not just you on your own drawing everything?
Oh, everybody. I mean, you ever sat at the end of a television series and seen the list of credits that go by? There are hundreds, maybe sometimes it's dozens, but sometimes it's hundreds of people that work on these things. For my series at Nickelodeon, my multiple shows I did, we had dozens and dozens of people helping us. I could never have done it alone. Now, there is a visionary at the top. That was me for these shows. I'd say, here's what I'm thinking. What do you guys think? And they would go, well, maybe this, maybe this. Okay, what if we did this? Because when the network comes to you and says, we want a 3-hour special. We want a 3-hour special. Yeah, we want it to air over the course of 3 weeks, an hour. Okay, what kind of story is that? How do you tell a story like that? What's the beginning, middle, and end? How do you keep the audience interested? We got to sit down and talk about this. And then once you get that down, okay, what are the characters? What are the designs? Who's the actors? Can we get this celebrity to be in? All that sort of stuff. So it really starts taking off at that point.
Yeah, so lots of the people listening to this are actually writers or people aspiring to go into the industry.
Good.
So I'm interested in the so you start at a sort of structural discussion about the kind of story you're telling before you get to character design or.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It all starts with what we call the premise. And what back at Nickelodeon, what we would do, and most studios do this, you will come up if they buy your show from you, which is a gigantic thing. If someone sells a show, that's a humongous accomplishment, number one. But number two, you have to learn how to not only make your show well, make it on time, make it good, and play the political game in the studio. There's politics that go into it as well. You might have someone who bought your show and is a huge champion of yours who's an executive, but then that executive leaves and another executive comes in, and they might not have even had anything to do with your show, and they could care less about it, and they want to get you off the air, and you're like, no, wait, our show. So there's all that goes on behind the scenes as well. But the creative process starts with, we would do a premise. Okay, what's our premise today? Timmy Turner, he's a little boy. What's a relatable thing a little boy goes through? Okay, he doesn't want to get a haircut. Okay, that's funny. Kids don't like haircuts. So he wishes, because he has magic fairies, he wishes for indestructible hair. Oh, that's really funny. No one can cut his hair. Then what happens? Okay, what about if nothing can cut his hair? At first, it's really amazing because it looks beautiful. But then the hair gets so out of control, it takes over the city. His hair is so huge. That's great. Okay, that's funny. Okay, and then you just kind of go into that sort of a thing. All right. And then you have to write a script, and you have to make sure it's funny and make sure the actors are funny. And, by the time the actors get in to record the show, you've already been working on the script for months. So an actor comes in, and they want to add funny things to it too. And if they do, if it's funny, I always told the actors, if you can add something funnier than what we have, I'm all for it. But if it's just something different, you don't get to do that. We worked in the script for months.
Do you have the voices then do the animation, or the other way around?
Oh, no. We always do the animation first.
And they're doing it.
No, I take it back. Everyone's going to kill me. I said the wrong thing. We do the voices first.
Yeah.
Then we animate to the voices. I apologize. I said that wrong. Yes, we do the voices first. Then we animate to the voices.
Presumably there's some kind of crude, well, not that crude, but some kind of previs kind of thing that they're aware of.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes the actors need it. Sometimes they don't. You can have a storyboard ready to show the actors. If you're doing a movie, they most certainly have a storyboard. Usually they'll show the actors. And they'll have a script. All the actor really needs is a script and maybe a drawing what the character looks like to kind of get into it. But when you work on a show as long as I did with Fairly Odd Parents, that show ran for 18 years. By the time, 10 years in, they didn't need storyboards anymore. They just knew the characters so well. They didn't need them anymore.
So I would imagine that it's a mixed picture, but for you as a writer, or creator, is your instinct to start with a character or a premise? So, for example, the Fairly Odd Parents, magical godparents I can imagine where that came from. Whereas something else might be, I've got an idea for a really good, little character who will hold the show.
Well, the main thing you have to realize when you're coming up with any character is, will anybody care about this character? Why would anybody care? Like right now, if I asked you to name me maybe one of your top 5 movies, give me one of your top 5 movies. And it doesn't have to be the right movie. Just tell me what your
Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank Redemption is a fantastic example. The reason you love that movie, first of all, it's a great story. It's a fantastic story. but the characters in that movie are great. You know, you've got Andy Dufresne and Morgan Freeman's character Red. Those are the characters we follow through the story, and you love you care about those characters. You care about them, and at the ending when they hug on the beach, you know, I'm giving it away, but you haven't seen it by now. Sorry, but at the end when they finally reunite on the beach, you start crying. It's like, thank God, you know, it's an amazing story, and that story grabs you because there's stakes in that story, like. What are the characters going through? What's at stake? What's the risk? What do they have to lose? That is a story that really grips you. Like I could tell you this, like Star Wars, for example, the very first Star Wars movie, great movie because you have Luke Skywalker. He's the young idealistic kid, you know, he's innocent. And then you have Han Solo, the kind of grizzled smuggler guy, and the princess who we think is just this, you know, helpless female, but she's really a kick butt girl who doesn't take any junk, you know? There's great characters in that show, and that's why you love that. Because how many other sci-fi movies can you name that you can't even name characters from?
I can't name characters from because
there's a million.
Favorite film is Galaxy Quest.
Oh, fantastic film! Fantastic film. Yeah, because the characters are funny.
Yeah, it's probably the best Alan Rickman role ever.
Oh, he's so great. I have an Alan Rickman impression I can do. He talks sort of like this. It's like, hello, I'm John McClane, you know, but Mr. Potter. But I think that's a great movie too because the characters are great, and that's why. Because again, like I said, for Star Wars, how many other sci-fi movies have been made that no one cares about? Doesn't matter about the ships or the effects. It just matters about the characters. And if you can add good effects around it at the same time, that makes a great story.
Yeah. Something that's just situational. So what?
Harry Potter is hugely popular because people love the characters. You know, they love the characters, and there's a lot of other stories about kids with powers and things like that for some reason just didn't resonate as well because the characters aren't that great. There's even low budget movies with great characters that people love, like Napoleon Dynamite. Have you ever seen that movie, Napoleon Dynamite?
I haven't, no.
That movie was made for like $400,000, and I think they made it over a weekend, but it made so much money because it's hysterically funny because the characters are funny in it, you know?
The one for me that's a bit like that is Billy Elliot, which kind of then exploded to being, you know, an independent kind of film.
Yes,
but people in it, but now it's a stage show, and you know, it's
because it resonates with audiences because they love that character. You know, Wizard of Oz is another one. You know, you love, they're in a magical land, but you love the lion. Come on, put him up. You know, you love that. And you love the Tin Man and the Scarecrow and Dorothy. I mean, they're just wonderful characters.
So I think it's clear that we're really about characters here. That's where I write it.
It has to be. It has to be. I'll point out Spider-Man because I'm a comic book nerd. There's a million superheroes out there, but for some reason, Spider-Man resonates because he's a kid. He's not a man. He's not an adult. He can't pay his rent. He lives with his aunt. He's got homework to do. You know, he's got problems. And oh, by the way, he just so happens to have superpowers. You know, which at the time was a twist that had never been done before.
Yeah. I mean, I've been very fond of the Spider-Man films, but probably my favourite sequence is when the Tobey Maguire character puts his costume in the washing machine and watches everything go pink. And you think, yes, I've been there. Yeah, you know,
that's totally funny. Exactly, it's great. It's like, what the heck? It's really funny, yeah. Because before that time, all the superheroes were billionaires and people their lives were together and everything was perfect. And oh, by the way, they're super handsome, you know what I'm talking about? So to add a dose of reality and always helps, I think.
So thinking about one of the big differences, which I'm not aware of so much, is the technical demands of what you're doing. And obviously fantasy, the whole kind of creation of the way they make cartoons has changed so much over the course of your career, from sort of 2D, 3D, and now this sort of motion capture world, which I think has really been driven mainly by the gaming, making games, but also, you know, high budget films, but it's now getting cheaper. For you, what do you think, how's this affected your storytelling, if at all? And what do you feel people should be thinking to expect in the future? A mixed culture, or are we going to be going more and more cartoon real, and kind of that odd thing like that Tintin that
yeah. You know, I think there's some amazing technology out there. I sort of put it this way sometimes. It's like the way cars are built. A car is designed to get you from point A to point B, right? But you can get there in a very fancy way, like a Tesla, or you can get there in a very basic way, like a pickup truck from 1950. But the car, it's all it's designed to do is to transport you. Stories are the same way. You can do it a very fancy way. You could do it like Pixar. You could do it with, all the bells and whistles of a Pixar movie. Or you can do it very simply with stick figures or black and white that just for some reason touches people's hearts. They want to see it again. The medium to me doesn't matter as much as the story does. And again, I'll point out Pixar. Pixar who tells wonderful stories. Like Toy Story is one of my favorite movies of all time. But then once Toy Story came out, people said, "Oh, that's how we're going to do movies from now on. We're going to do it with computers." That's the ticket. But how many bad movies have been made with computers? There's terrible ones. Out of the name 10 computerized movies, only 2 of them are good. 8 of them are bad. No one remembers them. So it's that comes down to the story as well. Like I could say Buzz Lightyear. You're like, "Oh, I know that character. You know who that is." Like right now, I challenge you. This is going back to Star Wars. Name me one character from the movie Rogue One. You probably can't. You can't, right? Because they're
the lead character. I can't.
Yeah, right. That's the perfect.
They usually give them a sort of Jen or a single syllable name, and then I forget them.
I know exactly. So I mean, you'll see that character is the most important thing, and I'm all for doing things in new mediums and making them look amazing, like The Matrix. When that movie came out, the new technology they had in that, and just doing Jurassic Park when that came out. The way they was in that at the time was groundbreaking. It's wonderful to have new technology, but at the end of the day, it comes down to do people care about these characters? Back to the Future is another example of a great story with great characters. Marty McFly, him and the Doc, what a great relationship they had. And they're just funny.
Yeah, very much an odd couple. They've been great. So you've hinted that it's a tricky industry to be in, as many of these very intensively competitive industries are. If someone's out there in their bedroom thinking, "I'd like to try my hand at getting into that industry," can you give them some tips about how to, build up their defenses for what they might meet?
Oh,
absolutely. There are character qualities that help.
Your best defense is being good at what you do. Right. If you're good at what you do, that is 80% of the battle. Because if you have a product, because the thing is, you're going into an industry that's going to pay you something. And I know it's all about the art. And I meet a lot of artists go, "I don't need to make any money." I go, "Well, that's fine. Okay. I hope you don't. I hope you do great. Good for you. But if you want to do it in the industry and be an artist in the industry and be a storyteller and get paid for it, you've got to come up with something of value that people can pay you for." And even Pablo Picasso got paid for his paintings. People get paid for their art, and don't ever feel guilty about it either. A lot of people say, "Well, it only took me 5 minutes to draw this." No, it didn't. It took you a lifetime of practice to draw that. And that's why it only takes you 5 minutes to draw that. Your talent is valuable. Your gifts are valuable, and you can get paid for them. But make sure you're good at what you do, and be ready to learn and be open to learn. Do not be a prima donna. I will hire a less talented hard worker than a super talented prima donna any day. I don't care how talented you are. If you're going to make my life miserable, I don't need you around. I need someone who wants to learn and who's open and will do what I ask and grow in the process. Be ready to grow. You don't know everything. Also, get out of your comfort zone. If you're living at home or just you haven't left your hometown, but you want to be in the industry, you need to go where the business is. You need to go New York, maybe it's Hollywood, maybe it's they're doing things in Georgia now, maybe it's I don't know where the industry is that you want to do, but go there. Yes, you can do things online now, but there's really nothing that takes the place of being interactive with actual human beings, whether there's a pandemic or not. If you can travel, if you can go, definitely go meet people that do what you do.
I suppose one of the things that I've been wondering about, as there's such an explosion of the platforms and more content being made, as to whether or not you've noticed a shift in content becoming more regionally specific. So whereas perhaps I could think of two main centers for cartooning. One was obviously America, and the other one was Japan. But
Right.
are you seeing industries coming up elsewhere, or is it still dominated by those two poles, would you say?
Well, that's a good question. There's a lot of animation being done kind of all over the world. There's a lot being done in Canada now, a lot being done in India, a lot being done, as you said, in Japan. The Philippines, there's a lot of animation done in the Philippines. But those are places that make the animation. The places that the animation are mostly in America. They're mostly in Hollywood and things like that. I believe. I could be wrong. Someone out there is probably going to nail me for that. I'm sure I got something wrong there, but
it's
I know.
An interesting discussion, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is. But the places that pay for projects to be made are predominantly in Hollywood because they want, these are all the platforms: Disney, Paramount, Universal, Netflix, all these companies. And animation is not done overnight. Every animated project you see that's coming out right now was started about 4 or 5 years ago.
Mm.
So it takes a long time, especially if it's a series. It takes a long time to do.
Yeah. And a lot has changed in the last 4 or 5 years, of course.
Oh, yes. Things always change, but we adapt. And, I'm just excited because now, when I was younger in the 80s, we didn't have iPhones. I had we didn't have camcorders. We had actual movie cameras, but it took forever to make things. And if I wanted to make a film, I had to go rent equipment and I just didn't know how to go about it. And if I wanted to do sound and all that, it was really hard. But now everyone's got a TV studio in their hand. It's called their iPhone. You can do a movie right now and upload it to YouTube in the same day if you want to. So if you're a good storyteller, you can get an instant audience reaction right now. And I always ask people, what's holding you back? Now, there really is no excuse now to not make something. If you want to make something, don't give me the excuse you don't have the equipment. You have an iPhone in your hand. You can make something.
So what have you got on the cards that you're making next? You were saying that you just to me before we came online that you got a new project.
I do have a new project. I'm making a cartoon now. In fact, we just had a press release come out. I'm making a new cartoon. It's a Christian cartoon. I'm a Christian guy, and the Christian cartoon market is kind of sparse. There's not a lot of cartoons for Christian kids out there. So I had this idea a while back, and it's called The Garden. It's about a little lion named Lenny and a little lamb named Lucy. They live in a magic garden where anything can grow. You can plant a trumpet, it will grow a trumpet tree. You can plant an idea, it will grow an idea bush. You can plant a donut, it will grow a donut tree, And so every day they tend to the boss, who's God. They talk to the boss and they say, "Oh, what's up, boss?" And the boss gives them a job every day. And normally they don't do it correctly. They mess it up. And then they have to ask him how to do it right. And through a scripture or a song, he tells them how to do it right. And it's really charming. It's for kids ages 3 to 8.
Hey, that idea of planting a trumpet tree reminds me of the early days of Narnia when they plant the toffee. And
there we go. I didn't know that. Is that in Narnia?
It's in it's just the one incident of it in Magician's Nephew when they arrive as the world is being created. Everything, that's why the lamppost grows, because the Queen Jadis throws a bit of metal that she'd ripped off a lamppost in London.
Oh, okay, that's why it's there. Okay,
and it grows into a lamppost. But also Diggory has a paper bag of sweets in his pocket and he plants one and you get this tree which grows toffees or a kind of.
You know what? I never read that book. That's a fantastic story. Look at that.
Well, there you go. You can connect it now.
Yeah.
So, Butch, we always finish our podcast with a where in all the fantasy worlds is the best place for something. And we've gone all over the place. We've been to, best mountain, best inn, best singer, that kind of thing. And I thought in honor of your wonderful Fairly Odd Parents, that we'd do where is the best place to be a fairy godmother. And I want to expand the definition to mean anyone who comes to a child with magical gifts. So it's where's not yeah.
So where's the best place to be a fairy godmother?
Yeah.
Now, are my answers limited to the Fairly Odd Parents world, or is it limited to
no any fantasy world that it could be a fairy tale, it could be
wow. Gosh, there's so I think. One of my favorite fantasy worlds. Gosh, okay, now my head is spinning. Okay. Can
I give you mine while you're thinking?
Let me hear yours. Yes. What is yours?
So obviously you think Cinderella. But no, I think that actually my favourite fairy godmother is Hagrid. When he turns up at the beginning of Harry Potter with his magical umbrella and a cape, I think he basically is the fairy godmother, because he's the one who comes in and says, you shall go to the ball, you shall go to Hogwarts.
I see.
He's my favourite magical intervener.
I got you. I have two. I think the first one would be Obi-Wan Kenobi telling Luke he's going to tell Luke all about the Force. That'd be a good one.
Yeah.
And the other one is Peter Pan. Because Peter Pan shows up to Wendy and says, hey, let's fly. And he teaches her how to fly. And they fly to the Neverland, which I thought was pretty cool as a kid. Always loved. In fact, a lot of my flight scenes in Danny Phantom come from Peter Pan.
Yeah, no, wonderful story. I mean, the original is a bit odd. If you've ever read it, it's very much of its time.
Yes, it's very different. Yeah, so is Wizard of Oz. Wizard of Oz is different too.
Yeah, there's lots of, authorial comment, which you think, oh, that's a bit funny. But actually, the concept goes above that, I think. And yeah, that dream of flying is wonderful. Thank you so much, Butch. And I hope that everything goes well with the new project of the garden. But obviously, you've many more Saturday morning cartoon watching of these things, because they are on television all the time now, aren't they? They
are. In fact, if I could just throw a shout out real quick, there's a brand new Fairly Odd Parents live action show on right now. It's on Paramount Plus. It's called Fairly Odd Parents Fairly Odder, and it's on Paramount Plus. And so live action with animated fairies. Yes, I think you'll really enjoy it.
Oh, fantastic. That's a great tip. So thanks very much for being with us and telling us about your cartoons.
And I'm going to give you my catchphrase. I always say on my YouTube channel, art gives you power, use it wisely.
Thanks for listening to Mythmakers Podcast, brought to you by the Oxford Centre for Fantasy. Visit oxfordcenterforfantasy.org to join in the fun. Find out about our online courses, in-person stays in Oxford, plus visit our shop for great gifts. Tell a friend and subscribe wherever you find your favorite podcasts worldwide.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.